Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Keeping Up with Digital Marketing, A's for Your Q's, ChatGPT, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box and we will address them at the end of the session, time permitting. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Cameron Nelson, CEO of Tenzing Startup Consultants. Cameron has over 20 years of experience in technology and as a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he founded several tech companies, including a software as a service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language, culture, has an MBA and MA. He believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Nelson.
Thank you for the introduction. And hello, everybody. Welcome to this session on AI. And in a broader sense, what is AI doing in the business landscape and how can your business use AI? ChatGPT is obviously going to be a focus, but I'm going to be comparing it to the other leading AIs out there to help you make a decision of which AI is going to be best to help you with your business needs. Now, of course, AI seems to be getting more and more prevalent every month in society, how we're interacting with the internet and how businesses are able to function and really squeeze every last drop of profitability out of a rather small enterprise. If you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur creating your first startup, AIs have the potential to help you accelerate your growth and produce more content and better quality content and understand your target market. So there's a lot of exciting things we'll be unpacking here today. I hope that you do have some questions for me at the end, so feel free to type those into the Q&A box as we go, and I'll get to those at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's jump right into it. I would like to start by giving a brief definition overview of some of these terms that we hear quite commonly in the presentation today or in the news if you're reading about AI. The first one is GPT, and you can see this when you see ChatGPT. So the GPT part stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And this is a family of artificial intelligence language models that ChatGPT and its company OpenAI created. And this was created about in 2018. And it was new because GPTs were a new type of learning language model where you would feed the computer a whole bunch of text and it would generate and it would understand the text and then generate responses from questions, basically being trained on the text. The next term we're going to talk about is an LLM. Now, this is a large language model. And this is also synonymous with ChatGPT. ChatGPT's technology, as well as the other leading AIs, they're all based on LLMs. They're all based on large language models. And what this is an artificial intelligence program that analyzes and understands text primarily. And that's how these were first created around 2018 and 2019. And when ChatGPT first launched to the public a few years ago, it was only usable in a text format. Now, nowadays, they've trained AIs on images. So you can create images, and we'll talk about that. They've trained AI on video, so you can create videos, audio. And so an LLM can actually be trained on any kind of input data, text, image, video, audio, etc. And more every month, we're seeing new companies and new products and services providing AI, services for businesses and individuals in any format. So text, image, video, and audio. So here are the main players in the AI space right now. At the top, we have ChatGPT, created by the company OpenAI. They're currently the largest, and we will see their market share in a moment. They were the first with this technology. They're the largest currently. But second here is Google's Gemini, and Gemini is advancing very rapidly, and we're going to see some of the progress they've made today. And I think there's a lot to look into here with Gemini as the closest direct competitor to ChatGPT. Third is Claude by Anthropic. This is a very powerful model, an AI model built with an LLM technology, a close competitor with OpenAI and Gemini. And lastly, we have Perplexity AI. Now, Perplexity AI is very useful for business owners, but it is slightly different than the other three. And we'll talk about its differences and its pros and cons here as well. So when we're talking about these AIs, you have to think about, and I'm sure you're wondering, how intelligent are they? How accurate are their answers that they're giving you in response to typical questions, business related, general knowledge, things like that. So as of December 2025, just a few days ago, I ran the research and generated these numbers here. So you can see that in the green color, we have ChatGPT version 5.1, the latest. In blue, we have Google's Gemini. And in orange, we have Anthropic's Claude. Now, you can see here in the complex reasoning, which is just a good all around. Can it reason through business scenarios? Can it analyze data you give it? Can it do competitive analysis? A general ballpark. Google's Gemini is actually now scoring higher than the others. Also, the next category over general knowledge again, Google Gemini and ChatGPT are ranked similarly, while Claude Anthropic is a little bit lower. When it comes to math, and this can be calculating sales revenue or projections or any financial projections for your business or any kind of mathematics, Gemini currently is scoring the best out of all of the main competitors. When it comes to coding, now a lot of you might not really think of writing code as a primary purpose of AI for your business, but it can be very useful if you want to write a website or a mobile app or any kind of application that you can think of. These AIs are getting very advanced and being able to write that if you just tell it what you want. Currently, Anthropic is doing the best here. So if you're looking to code, that is a really solid choice, but also Gemini is not far behind, and here ChatGPT does lag a little bit. So what can we take away from this? Well, ChatGPT did start as the undisputed best AI, even I'd say earlier this year, but Gemini's come a long, long way in a lot of categories. So that is one to be looking out for and to be considering as they're making more advances rapidly into the future. This graph also tells a story that's very interesting. If you take the benchmark of today, December 2025, you can see the market share of these major AI platforms and even some smaller ones that I'm not really going to focus on today. A year ago, OpenAI had in the blue a huge percentage of the market share, well over 75%. But you can see every quarter how Gemini in red has actually been catching up. Now, OpenAI still has the largest market share by far, but I think if we see this trend continue, by the end of next year, it could be getting close to 50-50 with Gemini. And it just goes to show that, what is the most useful AI platform? What are people using and relying on, especially in business situations? And you can see what used to be really heavily into ChatGPT and OpenAI, and it is shifting a bit towards some of the competitors. Now, you might still find ChatGPT to be the best one for you, and we're going to actually look at some live examples of the output soon. This is just to give you an idea of the trends we're seeing. Now, this is a very science-heavy slide, but I want to put it in here because I think it's very interesting to get a visual of how the LLMs work. Again, all of the AI platforms you might be interacting with are using this technology. And when it was created, it wasn't really clear to researchers and the developers how it was thinking. So this study done earlier this year actually starts to visualize how LLMs work. And when you type in a question, how are they generating their response? So they're not just regurgitating pure facts. They're actually applying abstract human concepts of thoughts, emotions, and responding to it like a human would respond to that question. So some of the groupings they put it in, you see here in orange, they look for conflicting allegiances, identities. They try to balance trade-offs. They look at conflicting interests and viewpoints. They take into account paradoxes or academic debates around the subject. And within these larger groupings, there's all these smaller groupings. And if you study this slide or indeed look at an even greater detail image of this concept, you'll see that in each of these, there's many subcategories happening. And that's really interesting because it's showing that almost like a human is thinking, the LLMs are balancing many, many viewpoints and different factors to come up with the answer. Now, all of the AIs we talked about use this technology underpinning what their answers that they give you, and how they mix and match and prioritize things does differ slightly. So now let's look at detail into the four main competitors here for your time spent using AI to help your small business or startup succeed. I'll start with ChatGPT because for most of us, was our entryway into AI, and for good reason. It was and still is a very, very strong contender. So they have a free tier or a $20 a month tier, which gives you access to faster responses, more in-depth research, more image and video generation. So it's usually a good idea to spend the 20 a month if you're a business looking to start using AI. The latest version is version 5.1, released just about a month or two ago. The pros of ChatGPT are it's incredibly simple. It's also multimodal, which means you can type in text and it can generate an image. You can upload an image and it can analyze it and give you text. You can upload a video. You can upload text. It can turn it into a video. So the different modes, the different output and input formats, you don't need to worry about going to different websites. It can do it all from within the chat, which is great. And it's good for general business use cases. As we've seen, it doesn't always excel in every category compared to the competitors, especially Gemini now, but it's a really good all-rounder. It's a good benchmark to test other things against, and you'll usually find it for your business needs to be very accurate, fast, and very, very helpful. But it's not without its cons, of course. Now, with all of these LLM models, they can have occasional inaccuracies of facts. So they always do recommend that you check your facts. They say that right on the screen. Check your important facts because they might be wrong. I haven't really seen an incorrect fact probably in 6 months, and I do use AI quite a bit for work. And so I think this is definitely decreasing nowadays. And the other con is that the free version has limitations of how much you can use it. Second here is Claude. Now, Claude also has a free tier or $20 per month. Their latest version is number 4.5. And one thing that they focus on more than any of these others are what's called agentic workflows. And this is a term you might or might not have heard before, but it essentially means deploying a small army of AIs to help solve your problem or accomplish your task. These are agents. And when you create a chat and you can say, I want this to be agents, it will then the AI will create sub AIs to carry out subtasks and report back to the main AI, which then considers the answers and discards bad ones and regenerates them until the main AI thinks it's got a great answer and it gives it to you. So you can get more accurate, especially on very complex tasks. Then this is a really good idea to be using the agents. And currently, Claude has the best implementation of AI agents across these major systems. Some of the cons are that it can require a little bit more custom development and tinkering with the options and the settings to really dial it in on how it's going to serve you best. So it's not as simple as ChatGPT. It also lacks some of those multimodal capabilities. It won't necessarily be able to analyze an image and give you a text or generate a video based on an image, etc. So if you're looking for those types of multimodal things, ChatGPT is a little bit better. Next up is Perplexity AI, free or $20 a month. It actually uses a version of ChatGPT as its underlying technology. It's just essentially a customized layer on top of that that some people find very useful. It's a streamline for quick questions and answers. It can also search and give you fact finding very, very quickly. So it's best at information retrieval. So if you're trying to do research on a customer segment, a competitor, a new product you want to launch, Perplexity can be a great source just for some quick answers and to give you that information. It's not very customizable for business needs, so meaning it can't really link to cloud storage and pull data from your files. And it's not great at generating content like images and things like that. It's more for fact finding and text responses. And last here is Gemini. Now, Gemini is probably the second largest competitor for your time and money here. For most people, it's also free, or you can spend $20 a month. And in addition, if you're already paying for Google Workspace for an email address at your business domain name, like a lot of people do, they have their email hosted with Gmail and they pay about $8 or $9 a month for that. You actually do get access to the advanced features of Gemini if you have that level of subscription with your email. So that's pretty cool. And you don't have to pay a separate monthly fee. They give you that integrated. And so some of the pros are that it is integrated very nicely with Google's ecosystem. Like I just mentioned, the billing is integrated. So you're kind of getting this as a free add-on right now. That could change in the future. They might decide to make it a paid only thing and you have to pay a monthly fee separately. But right now it is included. It's great at images. I would say sometimes it's the best. Some of you might have heard of their Google's funny name for the image generation part. They call it Nano Banana. So if you ever see Nano Banana, that is Google's AI image generation built into Gemini. And it's also very, very good at coding, whether or not you want to update your website and it can write your HTML code and you can incorporate that into your website. Or if you want to write an app or a program that runs on a PC or basically anything, it can write that code for you. They just updated their coding capabilities with version 3, which was released just within the last month. And not only me, but a lot of other tech experts out there are really amazed by its coding capabilities. So if you've never tried its coding, you can try creating a simple program or application or a game, and you'll see just how quickly it can write that code and launch it. Some of the cons or potential cons is that it's targeted at a little bit larger enterprises. They do prefer to be getting mid to large size businesses as clients with this. And so some of the services aren't really tailored to small businesses or individuals as much as ChatGPT. And you're only going to get the most benefit from this if you're using Google's ecosystem. So if you have Google Drive, if you have Google Docs if you're using Google Calendar for your business meetings, all of that data can be collected if you choose for it to be and used with your Gemini experience, which can drastically make small business ownership easier, I think, as it consolidates information, as it finds relevant links and facts of things you might be forgetting about because of lack of time or there's just so much data. If you're not using Google, say you're using Microsoft as a big competitor for cloud storage or somebody else, Apple maybe, you're not going to get any of those benefits with Gemini. So if you're in Google's ecosystem, it's great. It's great for that. But if you're not in Google's ecosystem, it's probably going to be more of a challenge for you to use Gemini effectively. So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork and we've talked about the trends and we've talked about the main four competitors, I'm going to now go through these 5 different ways that AI can help your business succeed. We're going to look at 5 different lenses here. The first one is going to be content generation. The second way it can help you is market research. Thirdly is idea generation. Fourth is by analyzing your data and providing insights. And fifth is by prototyping and designing. Now, before I jump into those 5 specific examples, as we know, as we talk to AIs, we use words and generally we type out our questions or what we want it to do. So there's a lot of different language and words you can use to get the responses that you like. This is a 22-point guide that explains from a pretty high level all of the different nuanced ways you can prompt AI. Here I've highlighted the main ones that I think are useful to know about, and I'll be using these in the examples. The first one to know is tone. You can specify the tone you want the AI to take in its response. Do you want it to be formal, casual, informative, persuasive, etc.? Secondly, you can tell what format you want. You can say you would like it in a certain format, like with bullet points, paragraph form, essay. You can have it include citations if you want it to, if you want an outline format, or even a dialogue. There's many different ways you can get creative with the tone and the format. And also, number four, objective. It's helpful for the AI to know as much information as possible about your business, your question, and your goals in asking the question. So if you want it to entertain, maybe it's some social media post content and it should be entertaining. Maybe you want it persuasive or informative. You can tell it what the objective is, and that will help the AI tailor its response. Point number eight, I find is useful to specify limitations. Of course, if you're writing a post on X, there's a word limit, a character limit. You can specify any constraints you want in the prompt. Number 11 is your audience. You can specify who this is going to go out to. If it's meant to be pay a text for your homepage on your website, you can say, hey, this is your audience. They're first-time website visitors. That will be a different output than saying the audience is somebody reading a blog post on your website, like a long-time subscriber to your blogs. Or maybe it's an email newsletter. That would be a different audience. So by specifying the audience, it'll give the AI more information to tailor the response better. And lastly, 18, if you want citations or for have specific quotes, you can ask it to put things in quotes and leave citations, etc. So you can play with all 22 of these. These are just the ones I find the most critical to understand and to kind of use day to day when interacting with AI to get the best response possible. And I don't think it's been mentioned before, but this entire presentation will be emailed to you after I give the presentation today. So you don't need to worry about taking super detailed notes because you'll be getting all of this information later. So let's talk about how AI can help you with content generation. I put this first because for many of you, this is the key reason why you're considering using AI or have already used AI. Number one, it's really good at helping you draft content. If you have an initial version of some content, even a rough draft or an outline, you can provide it to an AI and say to expand on it. And then give some of those prompts like I talked about. What's the purpose? What's the constraints? Who's the audience? What's the goal? Number two, you can maintain a consistent voice and tone. So it's really cool if you already have written content about your business. Let's say you already have some blog posts from the past. You can copy and paste the text of those blog posts. You can upload them as PDF or Word doc files, or you can just paste the link to the blog post in your chat and ask the AI to copy the tone and the voice of you in its future writings. And this will help it create content that aligns with your brand identity and it doesn't sound at all strange to a reader who's already used to reading your content. Point number three is ChatGPT can help you expand on short pieces of content, a quick brainstorming idea. If you have a bullet point list, something you think your audience or your market might be interested in, you want it to add relevant details, find some examples, explain things fuller. It's great at doing that, and it can really help you write your content faster and in some ways more accurately by finding relevant facts and details that you just might have missed. And point number four is SEO optimization. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and AIs like ChatGPT can analyze your website or your social media pages or any kind of publication you have online and help find relevant keywords and phrases that are popular in search terms nowadays, like as of the last 24 hours, very, very relevant. And so it can help give you recommendations of changing certain words and phrases to align with those searches, and this improves your search engine optimization. So something that many people don't consider, but it's another point of data analysis that these AIs are really good at, is helping you improve your SEO. So we've talked a lot about these different capabilities, but let's actually do a head-to-head comparison and a live demo here. And I'm going to give both ChatGPT and Google's Gemini the chance to wow us with their responses. Now, for the next couple of examples, we're going to be pretending we are the Purina dog food company because I think most of us already know that company and know its products. So the prompt here is that to pretend I'm the owner of this company, I'm going to say, write me a blog post in 200 words or less. So I'm constraining the length, and I'm also there specifying the format of a blog post that explains the benefits of my product to my target market. The tone should be informative, and the goal is to persuade my prospective customers to choose my product over the competitors. So let's go ahead and take this exact prompt and give it to the AIs, and we'll see how they answer, and we'll decide which answer we like best. Okay, so it's already started writing its response. It took about 2 or 3 seconds. Now, I'll skim through its answer, and we will now be, after this, be looking at Gemini's answer to the same question. So ChatGPT first, it says, choosing the right food for your dog is one of the most important decisions you make as a pet owner. At Purina, we design every recipe with one goal in mind, supporting your dog's long-term health with proven nutrition-backed science. Our formulas are developed by veterinarians, nutritionists, and researchers who understand what dogs need at every stage of life, from energetic puppies to wise seniors. So I didn't tell it anything about my company or my products or my competitors. And so ChatGPT had to go out and research all of that. It researched what my target market is looking for in a product, in the dog food product, etc. I'll just jump to the last paragraph here, and then we will now then compare it to Gemini's answer. It ends with, when you choose Purina, you're choosing a brand trusted for generations, grounded in research, and committed to helping your dog live healthier, a longer, healthier, happier life. So it did a good amount of research and wrote within the 200 word constraint. So now we will go to Gemini, and we'll be asking Gemini to answer the same question. So one thing you might notice about Gemini is it actually answered it faster. It started answering that within a second, I would say. So a little bit faster on the response, which can be nice if you're looking for a quick turnaround. So it starts with the same blog post with the same prompt, and it starts by saying, as the owner of Purina, I understand that choosing the best food for your dog is a decision you take seriously. That's why we're committed to providing complete and balanced nutrition backed by leading veterinary science. So it took a slightly different stance here. And I will say I do a very similar example every time I give this presentation a few times a year. And so I never know what the response is going to be because as the AI models advance, their response to the very similar prompt is different month over month. So it's fascinating to see. But Gemini decided to put this in the perspective as the owner. So as the owner of Purina. Now that's really interesting. Different than ChatGPT's, but if it's a blog post, it can come from the owner of a company. I think that makes it very personal and maybe connects better with the reader. It goes on to say, our dedicated team of pet nutritionalists and vets formulate every Purina recipe with the ideal blend of protein, essential vitamins, and minerals. This isn't just about filling their bellies, it's about supporting their long-term health and vitality. From a shiny coat and strong muscles to sharp eyesight and robust immune system, Purina helps your dog thrive at every stage of life. So, look, it did what I asked. It's a convincing, persuasive argument in a blog post format of why this is the best brand over the competitors. So whether you like one or the other, we can all talk about that and we could make a decision. But I think you can see that very rapidly you get a good response using either one of these systems. And so we're just able to see their capabilities here a little bit and how fast that they're able to respond. Now let's go to the second way AI can help your business. I think market research is a very strong pathway to using AI and help you achieve your business goals. The first way it can help with market research is in formulating your questions. Often businesses, especially entrepreneurs and startups, they need to write surveys or collect data, but they might not know all the best questions to ask. I work with entrepreneurs every month, and this is a common thing that I work with them at is what data do you want to collect from your target market to help you make your good business decisions? And ChatGPT and AIs can help you create those questions, which is great. They can understand what your market is kind of going through and their challenges and help you find questions to help get the data you need to answer your business queries and formulate the best strategy. Point number two is with competitor analysis. We've already seen that ChatGPT, without getting any information about my company or my product, was able to analyze a lot of data and to start writing persuasive content for me. If you tell it to do a competitive analysis, it's able to learn about their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, compare it to your company, especially if you provide data about your company. Like I didn't provide any uploaded files or extra data, but if you have that, you can upload that and it can do a really robust competitive analysis for you. Point number three is a trend analysis. So in your industry, there might be trends that you would like help analyzing, and they could be news stories, industry reports, articles, and anything talking about emerging trends or shifts in your market. You can have an AI like ChatGPT do this research and even redo the research on any schedule you set, which is pretty cool. You could say, do this research weekly and give me a summary every Friday afternoon. And it will do that research on a schedule. Very nice. Fourth is data interpretation. So if you collect data from a questionnaire or a survey, or if you have other data from other sources, let's say you have customer reviews on your products or feedback and messages on a Facebook or social media page, you can copy and paste and upload that data to an AI and ask it to analyze the trends or the correlations and the patterns and help you find potential opportunities to improve your product or better connect with your target market or whatever your questions are about that data. And point number five is drawing new insights about your customers. You might have comments, you might have customer emails, and again, reviews, and you might like to discover their preferences. What are their pain points with your product? Maybe even what are their pain points with your competitors' products to help you get some insights into how you can do better. So, analyzing this kind of customer data and finding insights is a very useful way to use AIs. The second challenge I'd like to pose to our two AI competitors today is what's called a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So again, I'm going to be the owner of Purina. I'm going to say to make a SWOT analysis of my top competitors using bullet points and linking to your sources. So let's see how ChatGPT first responds to this question over here. It's taking a little bit of time. So while it's pondering that, I'm going to also go to Gemini and we'll pose the same question over here in Google's Gemini. So Gemini again started responding within about a second. So on the speed front, they're better. Now, it does fluctuate a bit day to day, hour by hour. If ChatGPT is really, really busy, you can see slowdowns, and the same can happen with Gemini. So it's not really indicative of its performance overall, but it does fluctuate a little bit day to day. So yeah, it is still typing its answer over here. Probably due to heavy usage right now. Sometimes these answers would come very, very quickly, but sometimes it takes longer. So while it's still thinking, let's first look at Google Gemini's response. So at the top, they say, here's a SWOT analysis of key competitors, which are Hill's Pet Nutrition, which makes the Science Diet prescription diet brands, Royal Canin, and Blue Buffalo. So these are the competitors it's identified. Let's look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats versus the first one, Hill's Pet Nutrition. It says this is a major competitor known for its deep connection with the veterinary community. Strengths, strong veterinary channel focus. Hill's is the top selling brand in veterinary clinics and has a powerful reputation for research-backed specialized nutrition, particularly the prescription diet line of its products. Brand image, it benefits from a perception of being highly scientific and trusted brand among veterinary professionals. And quality standards, the brand adheres to strict quality ingredient standards. So it's identified three key strengths that I need to know about my competitor. Let's see what its weaknesses are. Narrow product line. Historically, its focus was heavily concentrated in the vet exclusive niche, offering a less expansive line of general wellness products compared to Purina's total portfolio. So that's interesting. So it's saying that it can be weak maybe with that direct to consumer model where Purina has a stronger foot in that market. Stuffy perception. That's funny that it puts stuffy in quotes. Its emphasis on science has historically given the brand a perception of being stuffy or lacking emotional connection. Now, that's really interesting because people with pets obviously have emotional connections with those animals, and having a brand that also has an emotional connection might resonate more with that pet owner than something that's a bit stuffy. So, there's some good takeaways here. Pricing generally positioned as at a premium price point, which limits accessibility in the mass market. So they're not really coming into that budget or mid-range. So let's look at now at strengths and weaknesses of what ChatGPT uncovered. So ChatGPT also found similar competitors, Mars Pet Care with these brands, and they also found a number two, Hills Pet Nutrition. So let's just jump to Hills Pet Nutrition, do a direct comparison. Let's look at ChatGPT's strengths that they found. Very strong, long-standing reputation in veterinary channel, widely recommended by vets for therapeutic and life stage nutrition. Deep R&D focus on clinical condition-specific diets. Okay, and backed by Colgate-Palmolive, providing capital and distribution reach. So different strengths, but they still hit on the same one with their reputations with the vets. Now let's see what weaknesses ChatGPT found. A price premium over grocery brands can be perceived as expensive outside strict therapeutic use and less emotional lifestyle branding. Okay, so they also found the emotional connection lacking. So I won't read all the rest of the details. Obviously, both of these answers are very detailed. And I would say the winner here, I mean, Gemini was much faster. ChatGPT could have been faster on a different day. A ChatGPT here linked to its sources. You can see as I hover over any one of these, I can click on this, which is nice. In Google Gemini, they didn't explicitly state sources next to the data that they found, though if I went back and prompted it to give me the sources, it would probably be able to do that. So whichever one you like better, I think we can agree they both did provide the answer we were looking for and is a very useful analysis to do the SWOT analysis of your competitors. And this is one way AI can be super helpful. Let's talk now about idea generation. So, whether or not you're an established business or maybe just an entrepreneur looking for some fresh ideas for a startup, here's some ways AI can help. It can help with brainstorming. It's very useful as a virtual partner in brainstorming your ideas. You might have some themes of products or just some vague notions of what you'd like to do, and AIs like ChatGPT can help you solidify those and actually do research with you to help find opportunities. Similar to that, with creative prompts, ChatGPT can generate ideas based on a topic of interest that you have, and it can help stimulate your thinking and generate new ideas on tangents or finding synergies between different ideas you have that you might not have thought of yet. Combining concepts, again, if you have different ideas that aren't super related in your own mind, an AI might be able to find and explore ways that they can have synergies together. And lastly, problem solving. Businesses, I mean, as you know, starting a business or running a business, there's problems almost every single day, and often they're new problems you haven't had to tackle before. And sometimes they're technology problems. And so any kind of problem you have, AIs are super helpful at helping you answer it. I'll just take an example that you might be running into. You're trying to use a new technology for a booking platform for your business to make scheduling appointments with clients. The current one is too expensive, or it's not quite meeting your needs, or you're having trouble setting something up. You can provide some screenshots or describe what the problem is, and the AIs can help you troubleshoot those problems, tell you what settings to enable to get to the solutions you're looking for. That can be with technology, it could be with any number of problem-solving things you have with your business. So let's put idea generation to the test here, and this will be the final head-to-head test we do today. And the prompt is going to be to brainstorm new types of pet foods I could develop that would sell well in the market. Keep it under 150 words and to use paragraphs this time. So let's see how ChatGPT is able to answer this one. And we'll see if it's able to start answering right away, or if it's going to take 10 or 15 seconds. So this time it was faster. It didn't have to take as long. So again, I asked it to help me develop new types of pet foods. Its answer: develop fresh, freeze hybrid meals that can keep nutrients closer to fresh food but offer shelf stability and convenience. Well, this is interesting. As I said, I do ask these questions every time and I get different answers. I've never gotten a freeze-dried meal idea before, but I'm envisioning it's something like those freeze-dried camping meals people eat. So, but something like that. So it's healthy, but it has an extremely long shelf life. Create condition-specific functional diets like longevity, joint repair, cognitive support using clinically validated ingredients. Add microbiome targeted kibble with rotating probiotic profiles tailored to age and breed. So, some interesting ideas. I don't know if that was really one product idea or multiple product ideas. I guess it's kind of up to us. It's leaving it up to us to decide if that should be one product or multiple. Let's go now ask Gemini what it would recommend for new products that would sell well in this market. All right. Well, its answer was again quicker. It says the current pet food market is driven by trends mirroring human nutrition, premiumization, functional health, and personalization. To sell well, Purina should focus on three high growth categories. First, invest heavily in fresh and gently cooked pet food. These products sold through refrigerated or subscription models appeal to pet owners seeking human grade, minimally processed options. Okay, so that's one separate idea. Second, focus on functional nutrition. Develop new kibble and treat lines with specifically clinically supported ingredients, joint longevity, gut health, anxiety reduction. So, similar to ChatGPT, they had a functional nutrition idea. But I think this one, I like its answer a bit more. It kind of breaks things down a bit more detailed. And third, alternative proteins like insect protein, black soldier fly larva. Now, I have never seen black soldier fly larva before in an answer to this question, so very interesting. I'm not sure if that's because there's more information about that on the internet in the last few months, or maybe more pet food companies are using that type of protein. It's possible. If you want to dig deeper, you can ask it, tell me more about black soldier fly larva and why did you recommend that? And it says these cater to consumers concerned about sustainability and offer novel hypoallergenic options. So great answers both. I think I prefer Gemini's a little bit. Let me know what you think, but it just seems to be a little bit more. It did break down three separate ones, a little bit more detail, and I think they're a little bit more interesting and unique than what ChatGPT said. So next, AIs can be very helpful in data analysis. No surprise there. We've already talked a little bit about how they can be very useful in analyzing competitor data, survey data. Some other ways they can analyze your data is they can do hypothesis testing. So if you have just a business hypothesis and you're just not quite sure how to how to get the right answer, or even how to design a test to explain the hypothesis, they can help you design ways to test a hypothesis. Secondly, as predictive analytics. Any kind of historical data you have, whether it's sales data, maybe you have data of customers who walked into your store by hour, by day, by month, any kind of data, you can upload it to an AI, ChatGPT, and it can analyze that and provide really interesting insights and even cast future trends. Number three is segmentation analysis. You might have a customer base, but you're not quite sure the main segments. Maybe you've identified that you get younger males, you get some older females, but you're not sure really what's driving them to buy your products. ChatGPT can help you break up and understand your customer segments better based on both data it has from the internet and industry trends or public data, as well as your own data if you provide it. And this can help you better market and target those different customer segments. Number four is identifying opportunities. If you want to describe your goals going forward, not just a specific problem, but kind of overall business goals, then ChatGPT can analyze your data, publicly available data, to suggest new opportunities for growth, new strategies, and ways to improve, and especially ways to increase your profitability. And number five is feedback analysis. I think we already touched on this. If you have feedback from your customers in any kind of format, even if it's audio recordings, you could upload data, whether it's text or audio, and you can ask to analyze all the data and find similarities or gain insights into your customers' behavior and their needs, especially as it relates to your business and your products. And lastly, I find AI to be very helpful with small businesses for prototyping and designing. Now, you might not think of this as a primary function as a small business owner, but you're probably constantly innovating and constantly thinking about what new products you should bring or tweaking existing products. So, if you want AI to help you visualize a concept, it can create images or even short videos now, and that's new within the last 3 or 4 months, creating short videos, helping you visualize concepts. It could be a store, it could be a marketing campaign, it could be an actual physical product, whatever you want. You can describe it with text or images and have that output to help you visualize it. Number two is creating wireframes or mock-ups, especially important if you're creating a website or a mobile app, that these can help walk you through visually like a storyboard of how the website or app works. First step in getting it developed will be creating this storyboard and these wireframes. And these can be generated very, very quickly with your input using AI. Point number three, it can help you figure out the best flows for your users around your website or a mobile app if you have one or are building one, especially as they navigate. There's a lot of research done to show the ideal way your placement for buttons, best placement for text and images on a website to help the user logically navigate around and essentially increase your conversion rate or increase the number of people who buy your product by fine-tuning the navigation and the flow. So they can analyze your existing website or app and provide that feedback. Number four, again, thinking about the flow of a website, the user interface and user experience. If you want to reinvigorate a website you have or an experience you have online, you can explain kind of where it's failing or what you'd like different, and AI can help you create new user experience and user interface ideas and even the actual designs and image format. And at this point, also it can do the coding. Like I said, it's very good at coding. So the experience of a website in virtual environments. Point number five is a feature suggestion. So if you have a website you're happy with, but you feel like it's lacking certain pages or features that users might find interesting or relevant to help them stay on that page longer, AI can help you recommend features that you can add to a website or an app to improve the user experience and to make them stay around longer, which improves your SEO, your search engine optimization, as well as probably improving your conversion rate overall. And lastly, helping to create product descriptions. Whether you're launching new products or you have older products that the descriptions haven't really been freshened up and made relevant in a while, it's always a good idea to look at updating product descriptions every year or two. So AI is a great way to look at competing products, which ones are selling the best, and helping you reword and update your product descriptions to stay relevant in the minds of your target market. So I already mentioned that prompt guide with those 22 points. And as you've seen, as I ask my prompts to AI, There's certain tools and techniques which can give you better results. So I'm going to go over now 4 AI prompt tips from my own experience in working with business owners just to help you get on the right path. The first one is to write clear instructions. You should try to include details in your prompt, which will help you get more relevant answers. You can have a very vague help my business Purina with its new products, but if you were to upload or provide much more information and data, you'll get more targeted answers. So that's a really good thing to do. And point number 2, to provide reference text. You can upload almost any kind of document, docs, PDFs, Excel sheets, images, videos, and this you can then have it to refer to this to get your tone or your style or for data and facts. And you can also have ChatGPT answer with citations if that's useful to you. Point number 3 is to give ChatGPT time to think. Now, about a year ago, some researchers found an interesting thing in prompts that if you said, ChatGPT, go slower, take more time, think longer about the answer, it would follow your instructions and actually do that. And some of the answers that got generated were better and more accurate because it took longer to think. So if you find that the answers seem to be too superficial and aren't digging deep enough, you can try this strategy where you just say in your prompt, go slow, take your time, and it will generally, and it will follow your instructions. And point number 4 is to split up really complex tasks. I mentioned that using agent AIs, there's the concept of giving it a very large task and letting the main AI create sub AIs to help answer it. If you are using the AI agents, then it can do splitting up of complex tasks on its own. But a lot of the times you're just using one AI. That's how I interacted with it today. That's generally how you will at this point in time. So it's best to split a really complex question or prompt into smaller ones. Let it answer one main question at a time. It lets it dedicate more thinking time to answer each part of an important big question. And if you tend to ask it 5 or 10 questions in the same prompt, it struggles a bit. Any of these will struggle a bit to stay relevant and on topic with all 10 questions, especially if they all require depth of analysis and research. So splitting up your complex tasks into smaller ones is helpful, at least at this point. Maybe next year we'll see that's not even really necessary as agents become more commonly used. We've talked a lot about text output now, and I want to focus a little bit on image output because the image output of these AIs is pretty interesting. It's pretty phenomenal for business owners to create images for marketing purposes, for product kind of demos or markup demos or mock-ups. So all of these images were created by AI. Now you see they run the gamut from kind of being lifelike to being arts and creative, even things like macro shots or portrait shots or covers of magazines. And down at the bottom we have more staging or photos used for product showcasing or conceptualizing new products. And the main AIs for creating images now are going to be Google's Gemini with what is called Nano Banana and ChatGPT's image generation. They both will produce very similar results, though Google's Gemini seems to be edging out ChatGPT a little bit as far as the quality of the images and the accuracy in following your prompt's instructions. Here's a test I did earlier this year in ChatGPT, and my prompt was just to show a stressed small business owner trying to understand technology. And I didn't tell it anything else, but it came up with a photorealistic image with a blurred background with, you know, objects that would likely be in possession of a business owner, kind of looking stressed about technology. So I think it did really well. But a cool thing that came out earlier this year is the ability to subtly change an image. So I said, now add a flyer on the table that says SBDC can help. And it left the image more or less alone, though it did change subtle things about it. You'll notice the angle of the head and little things are a little different. But it followed my prompt and it added this flyer on the table. It even researched like the SBDC logo and put that in. And I didn't give it any of that. So you can create very relevant and very, thought-provoking images for your business using AI image generation. This is free on all platforms, but you will usually hit a limit per day or per month. So if you want more unlimited access to the image generation, you'll usually have to pay that tier of about $20 per month for that access. So we've seen some of the really cool capabilities of AIs with text, with images. I'm not showing video currently because that is still kind of the cutting edge and it's not quite ready yet for business owners to use for the most part. But I think we will start seeing video by small businesses and entrepreneurs by next year for sure. So probably when I give this presentation again next year, and if you come to that, we'll have some demonstration of video generation, which will be really cool. But just to highlight how rapidly AI has been advancing, I would like to show this slide, which shows how long it took some of the major businesses that we interact with to reach 1 million users. So it took Netflix, launched way back in 1999, 3.5 years to reach 1 million users. Going down to Facebook, it took them 10 months. And if you look at ChatGPT, which was launched officially to the public in 2022, it took just 5 days. And the latest stat I heard is that it has ChatGPT, which has, again, the largest market share, has over 800 million users worldwide. So almost a billion users, which is a huge number. Now, Facebook says they have about 2 billion users on their platform. But still, ChatGPT, it grew very fast and is a very, very big presence in our lives. And so many people are using it. I don't have current stats on Gemini usage. Google's not really sharing that right now, but that's also probably fairly big. But ChatGPT is become very far, very, very fast. And that this chart just highlights that. Now, one thing that I get asked usually at the end of these presentations are what is the future of AI like? What's coming down the road? And I'm not an oracle, unfortunately. I don't know exactly, but I take this from a publication that OpenAI put out. And Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, might be the most influential person on earth when it comes to AI development. And these are his thoughts about the stages of AI, where we're at, and where we're going. And so I'll just quickly summarize this. Stage one is conversational AI. This is really the current stage where you converse with AI, because they're LLMs, they're large language models, so they understand conversing, and they can even help write content and create images and videos now. Stage two is reasoning AI, which is able to perform basic problem-solving tasks comparable to a human with a PhD. Some people would probably say that we're in phase two now with how smart and intelligent AI's answers are, but certainly by next year we'll be in the realm of stage two. Stage three is autonomous AI. And this is the where AI agents really come into play, where AI systems can operate autonomously on your behalf. They can run parts of your business for several days, and they will rarely break. And if they do, they will fix themselves without your involvement. So think about automatic reordering or social media posting or many, many business functions being run autonomously by an AI or several AIs working in tandem. Stage number four is innovating AI, which not only will follow your instructions to say, post on my social media page once a day, like they could in phase three, but they will develop their innovations independently from what you've asked it to do based on helping you achieve your goals as it thinks they are. So, not just running your processes, but improving them, capable of thinking about how to do a better job than the way you were doing it in the past. So, that is where Sam thinks stage four is headed. And stage five is organizational AI, which will be capable of performing the work of an entire organization. Every person you currently have employed and every function carried out, but performed by agents that work together, that can make improvements and run everything required without a human in sight. Again, these are Sam Altman's thoughts and his words about this. Now, he also did say about a month ago in an interview, he said that he hopes OpenAI, his company, is the first company in the world to not need a CEO because an AI will be the CEO. So that's his goal for his own company is to make himself obsolete. But I think that if we do see stage five AI being this capable, Sam's probably right in his prediction that it'll replace many decision makers in companies. So this is just a quick look, just to kind of spark your interest in with the future and answer that question, at least from one tech CEO's perspective, of what the future of AI holds for business. Now, you might be thinking, certainly there's some challenges and problems posed by all this shakeup, dramatic shakeup, and there's a few studies and data points that I will now show talking about what are the risks as a global community sees them of adopting AI. So the first one here is from the International Monetary Fund, and they predict AI will impact 40% of jobs worldwide, which could exacerbate inequality and social tensions. You'll see that in the chart here, the red bar is a high exposure, whereas the blue bar is a low exposure and risk to AI. And so in advanced economies, like in the US, we have the highest risk because of AI, whereas in emerging markets or low income countries, according to the IMF, there's much less risk of AI causing disruptions in workforces and in society. Now, because AI obviously comes with a lot of benefits and maybe also some risks, I often do also get asked, what are the risks or the considerations for using AI in your small business? So, the four main considerations I would say is first off, it can get facts wrong. As we already stated, sometimes it might pull up a competitor that's not a competitor or a product line that's not a product line. This has not been happening as much at all recently from what I've seen, but it's still a slight risk until AIs kind of get trained enough that they're now more or less error-free, but we're not quite there yet. Number two is allowing AI to, like in phase three of Sam's predictions, kind of take control of business functions. This would be allowing them to log into your accounts and make posts or financial transactions on your behalf. Some AIs kind of allow you to do that now, but I would stay clear of that. I think there's still way too much risk and uncertainty about them doing that correctly. Thirdly, as we saw, ChatGPT can be slow at times. These sites can also crash or be completely down at times. It can last for hours or even close to a day. And the free tier is the first to get impacted with slowness. So if you're using it for real critical situations, having the paid tier does usually mean you have faster access, even in times of slowdown. And point number four is leaking business secrets or intellectual property. When ChatGPT was first released, they were taking user questions and interactions and actually training their model on text inputs from actual users, which led to leaking of some company secrets and private information. So they've since enabled like safeguards and toggle switches that say, do you want your chats to help train the model, yes or no? And if you turn that off, supposedly then your chats aren't going to ever be public, but it remains to be seen how really secure those safeguards are. But I also asked ChatGPT to answer this question. I said, what are the risks of using you for a business owner? So it said, number one, it has bias, that AI algorithms can be biased, reflecting the data that they were trained on. So this could lead to discriminatory outcomes, which could harm your reputation. So that's true. That's why I think it's a good idea to always check its output if you're putting it out there in public and make sure it's accurately representing your views and it's not biased in a way you don't agree with. Number two is lack of human touch. That AI can reduce the human touch that your customers might be accustomed to. So you can train the AI on using your own voice and language in the text it produces, but you want to make sure you're not going to damage your customer relationships by over relying on AI. And point number three is over reliance, because if we use AI exclusively, it might reduce human creativity and imagination. And this could result in a business standpoint from a lack of differentiation from your competitors and less effective marketing or less effective personalization and really reaching your target market if everything starts sounding the same. Of course, I don't think we're there yet. Things aren't all sounding the same, but the point is in the future, that's if the trends keep going, it could be an issue. And lastly is limited context. So if like my prompts, I just told it about I'm the owner of Purina. Let's say there were two companies called Purina and one didn't have anything to do with dog food, and ChatGPT assumed I was talking about the other one. Obviously, it could give me answers that were completely inaccurate. And let's just say I didn't notice something and it could be embarrassing or damaging to my business. So it's always good to provide more information, not less, when you're giving the AI context around your business. Now, there are several organizations and governments that, of course, are looking closely into AI and its impacts on society. I'll leave these here kind of for you to read up more on if you would like. The first one is the Future of Life Institute, which is probably the first big public debate about AI, and it was um, really started a couple of years ago and it was calling on AI's companies to stop progressing AI technology until more debate and regulations and safeguards could be put in place. So that's still an organization that's still promoting that viewpoint, and you can read more by clicking the link here. Again, this will be emailed to you later, so you can take a look at that. The UK government also issued a declaration on the use and the risks of AI. It's a couple of years old now, but it's one of the few governments to have actually taken this step. And lastly is an article about how in the age of AI, we must protect human creativity as a natural resource, talking about how using AI might be making us dumber. And at least if we just use that, rely on that too heavily. So you can also read that article there. So I think a good idea to be exposed to different viewpoints as you consider using AI for your business and the potential impacts that might have both on your business and society overall. So with that, I thank you for your attendance and hopefully this information was useful to you and thought-provoking. And now we can jump into your questions, and I'd be happy to answer as many questions as we have time for today.
Great. Thanks, Cameron. We do have a few questions that have popped in. Let's start with, does it make a difference whether you use the paid or non-paid version?
Well, I did highlight a few differences between them, meaning you'll have more limits in the free version. Often the newest model might not be available on day one, like it is to the paid users, but you might wait a month. All of that changes from company to company and month to month, like what they give to free users and what they restrict to the paid. So there's no harm in trying the free level. You might find if you just use it occasionally and you're not trying to generate videos right now, it's going to work just fine. But I mean, I pay for a subscription. Many business owners find that $20 a month is worth it to just to not worry about bottlenecks and to be able to generate whatever kind of content they need when they need to.
Next question. I have fed ChatGPT a list of ideas and wanted it to write a paragraph including those ideas. I find that it creates long sentences where it connects ideas that don't really make sense. Which platform, from your experience, is best for this objective?
Well, if you're finding that it's not giving you good answers, then I would try Google Gemini, which is the one I did compare it to today. I found that in the last couple of months, Gemini is neck and neck and sometimes better for my uses. So I would go to that first. And again, you can use that for free to try it out. But also, I did list the four. We have Claude, Anthropic, and Perplexity AI. And Perplexity AI specifically for short answers and finding data. Maybe that'll be better for your use case. And you can also try Claude. So I would encourage you to spend an hour and like, try a little bit of time with each of them, and you might find one that just stands out to you. But also, again, every couple of months, somebody releases a new version. So what you experienced with ChatGPT just 3 months ago might have been corrected and superseded by their new version, which might not have that issue at all. So it's a rapidly moving landscape, but I encourage you to go look at the current four top choices that I have for you and see what meets your needs today.
One of our attendees says they found Perplexity does really well conducting a SWOT analysis, which I think
Mhm.
you just
That's
It did
great
as
feedback.
well.
Yeah, it is. It's good for fact finding and for some analysis. Yeah.
So let's see. This attendee is thanking you for making this easy to understand. She's wondering if, and I'm not sure if you'll know of this, Cameron, but let's see, is there a low cost class I can take to get hands on experience with an instructor who can guide her through using this?
Not that I know of. You know, there are courses like there's boot camps like this where I give a brief introduction. And of course, it's so brief, I hardly have time to go into the details of usage. There's videos on YouTube. So if you want to search for using ChatGPT for beginners, you'll find more videos by technology professionals who are guiding you through certain aspects of using an AI. So that would be a good place to start. I'm not familiar with any live one-on-one or even group trainings. Of course, the SBDC is here to offer assistance. And if you want to email us here at help@virginiasbdc.org, you can mention that you came to this meeting and you'd like to have some more questions, ask some more questions to me, and I can then chat with you offline about maybe possible ways to help you find get you the help you need.
Agree. And I dropped that email into the chat. Let's see. So this attendee is a little concerned about using the microphone on Chat or Gemini. They feel that it might start listening regularly, and they're just wondering if they're being overly paranoid.
Hmm. Well, I mean, no, nobody really knows right now. I think that there's always the possibility that any microphone could be picking up stuff when you're not aware, right? Like Alexa, just for example, anything we have. So I'm not the expert on answering that question, and I'm not sure anybody is. Oh, I guess I'll just say if you're uncomfortable with the idea, you can always unplug physical hardware, right? So unplug its power. Easiest way to make sure it's not doing anything. But it's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't have a specific answer for it.
Let's see, next question. I use ChatGPT to help me writing blog content. A problem I often find is asking AI to make a particular edit and it ends up changing big pieces of the blog. Is there a way to prevent this?
Well, I mean, one strategy you might use is if 80% of the blog is fine, but there's a paragraph or a section that is not fine, it needs to be rewritten, you can just copy and paste that part back into the chat. That's what I'll often do if I want a specific edit. I'll say edit the following paragraph and make these changes, and then I'll just put a colon and paste all the text that, I want them to edit. And then it'll only look at that text that I pasted in there, and it'll make just the edits that I suggested in the text, and then I can kind of reinsert it into the longer document. And that whole process just takes a few seconds with copy and paste, and then it won't have the potential to mess up anything else in the blog post.
Let's see, do you have best tips to limit AI from providing feedback that is all positive and looks at topics from a different angle?
So when you're asking it a question, you can tell it what your goals and objectives are. And so you could say, my goal is to get critical feedback and analysis of this idea or this question, help me find problems with my logic, loopholes in my thinking, provide alternate angles of analysis, and then ask it the question. And just by telling it you're not looking for an immediate like positive outcome, you're looking for critical analysis, alternative viewpoints, you'll start getting deeper into it poking holes in your theories or in your logic. And it can definitely do that. I think by default, it's interesting. By default, every AI company wants you to keep interacting with their AI, right? That's how they make money. That's how they get customers. If their AIs were too negative or too nitpicky with your questions, people would not use them. So by default, they're all kind of rosy and they kind of take a happy view of everything by default. They all do that. It's just kind of business logic of how they're created. But yeah, you can just tell them to be critical, give you different viewpoints, find problems with your thinking, and they will do that for you.
The next question is probably too much for this presentation, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. How can you use Gemini to create presentations?
So yeah, it's a good question. Um, it can provide outlines. It can, if you say I want a 10 slide presentation on the Purina pet food company and its product line, it can build you a presentation, but it will, give you the title for each slide and the text for each slide, but it's not able to make a PowerPoint presentation file with the content on it. So right now you're left with creating the blank presentation, copy and pasting its ideas and formatting them and moving them around as you want. That's what you have to do. I think in the future it'll create files from scratch, but we haven't seen that be a possibility yet.
And this you did cover earlier. This question came on early on, but we don't have any other questions. So I'm going to put it out there and let you do a little recap. Benefits and risk of having your business queries and chats in your account included in AI models.
Right. So, all of the main AI companies, they now have a setting which says you can train my AI with my responses or don't train the AI with my responses and my questions. So personally, I always disable that. I don't want Gemini or ChatGPT trained. But at the same point, your queries are stored in those companies' file servers and databases for a long, long time. And so, yeah, they could be hacked and all that could be uncovered. Even if the company is not doing that themselves, it could be an accident. Um, about 2 months ago, ChatGPT, in response to user privacy concerns, said we will delete all chat records after 30 days. We'll just wipe it clean. So even if we were hacked, we are deleting old stuff. But then a judge somewhere said you can't do that because you're being sued for using, authors' books in developing your large language models. So we need you to keep a record of everything you've ever done forever. You're not allowed to delete anything. So ChatGPT had to cancel that announcement. So right now it's a weird legal situation where the companies understand privacy concerns and would like to delete older data, but the courts won't let them because there's these legal debates about how they train their models and if they're going to get sued in the future. So, yeah, right now I believe the companies are keeping everything forever is the current policy. Yeah.
That's interesting information.
Yeah.
We don't have any other questions, so I will put a call out for questions. We have about 10 more minutes, so if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those into the Q&A, please. Um, and we have someone thanking you. It was very insightful. I agree. So if there's any other questions, let's see. What are your thoughts on Grok, Grok?
Grok is the AI model developed by X AI, formerly Twitter, under Elon Musk's guidance. Yeah, it's maybe number 5 or 6 in a discussion like this, not one of the top 4. It's not targeted at business users at all, which is why I don't really even talk about it. It's just really for the casual users, the individual people who want something funny or want a funny image. So it's not really great for business use.
What are your thoughts on using Copilot?
So Copilot is another interesting discussion in the AI realm. It's Microsoft's embedding AI into the Windows operating system. Currently, Copilot, every couple of weeks, it gets updated with new features. So it's evolving very, very rapidly. But the idea is it'll make using your Windows computer better and easier. Currently, a lot of this stuff is in beta and you can't really use it. So there's a lot of promises about what Copilot will do, not much that it actually does right now. Especially as a business owner, I don't find that there's any advantage with that over ChatGPT or Gemini. But I think in 6 or 12 months, if Microsoft is able to accomplish what it's saying it's going to do with AI and Windows called Copilot, it could be really cool. So we'll just have to see. Right now, it's not something I recommend for business owners because almost every feature is a beta thing, and they just say, use this at your own risk at this point, and I wouldn't risk it as a business owner.
Any tips on getting your business featured on the AI Google search results?
No, not really. The AI Google search results are not something you can get into that I know of, at least not now. It's not the normal search results. It's an AI generated response to a search query. So if you're looking for data, the AI can generate that, but it's never going to tell you what website it cited that data from. So yeah, well, a lot of people think that by doing that, the normal websites will get fewer visitors because people will get what they're looking for in the AI generated result at the top and just forget about clicking through websites and reading that themselves. So that's just currently the way Google is implementing it. There's no way I know of, or in the future you'll ever be able to be listed in the AI search results. So the point is to kind of show people the information they want without going to any websites or citing the source. Yeah.
Let's see. Are all of these AI communicating amongst themselves yet?
Oh no, not that I know of. They're all very walled off from each other currently because they're all competing.
Okay, so here's one for you. Speculative question. How far out are we from super intelligence?
I mean, I'm definitely not the expert, but I do listen and read what more expert people are saying. I mean, probably 3 to 5 years is what a lot of people think. So, nothing next year. But I mean, anything's possible. We've definitely seen rapid advancements and surprising breakthroughs in the last couple of years. So I would say anything is possible. But most well-educated people are saying, I think 5 years is a general ballpark.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? While we give that a moment, Cameron, do you want to give some last words of wisdom?
No, I don't think so. It's great questions, great discussion. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and for coming today.
Yeah, you covered a lot and always good information. And I agree, Cameron, thank you. And thank you all who joined us today. As a reminder, you will receive an email with a link to this recording and to the slides. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBD resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help at virginiasbdc.org or via our website. And we do hope to see you all at our next session. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.